Welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. Now going on some 40 hours since this government shutdown began there, and it doesn't feel like it's going to end anytime soon. For more on this, let's go out to Rebecca Castor to talk about where we stand.
The shutdown clock has been ticking on the White House website all day. And while the Senate's next vote is not scheduled until Friday, President Trump is meeting with his budget director, Russ Vought, who is already gearing up for federal layoffs.
Look, it's likely going to be in the thousands. That's something that the Office of Management and Budget and the entire team at the White House here, again, is unfortunately having to work on today. These meetings would not be happening if the Democrats had voted to keep the government open.
Donald Trump and Republicans have made clear they wanted to shut down the government. They want to inflict pain on the American people. They continue to engage in their retribution efforts.
On Capitol Hill, Democrats are fighting for COVID-era insurance subsidies to be included in the spending bill. But Republicans claim their proposal rolls back measures that prevents funds from going to illegal migrants.
There are things we can negotiate, differences we have, and we're not going to give taxpayer benefits to illegals, but don't hold the American people hostage with a government shutdown.
This is about health care. He is choosing to shut down the government rather than work with Democrats to fix the health care crisis Republicans created.
If Republicans can't convince enough Democrats to change their votes on Friday, Senate Majority Leader John Thune doesn't plan to keep lawmakers here through the weekend. Instead, they'll likely try again on Monday. On Capitol Hill, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
All right, potentially the Senate gone for the weekend as the federal government at a standstill for this shutdown. So we're almost some 2 days into this at this moment, and we're hearing from different lawmakers. Speaker Mike Johnson earlier on today. We also heard from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries talking about the health care battle, the unwillingness from the Republicans to negotiate at this point. Let's be joined right now by Representative Julie Johnson, a Democrat from Texas representing the 32nd District there. Julie, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And from where do you stand? How long could this last?
Well, unfortunately, I think it seems like the Republicans are digging in to not get a budget done. I mean, the House has not been in session since September 19th. And, you know, Republicans are in charge. Speaker Johnson has not put the House to work since then. And, you know, they've known this deadline's been coming since March. They've had all these months to try to craft a bill that Democrats could support. We all voted against it last time. We're voting against it this time. I'm not going to vote to strip health care away from hundreds of thousands of my constituents. And so here we are. There doesn't seem to be an impasse. And rather than trying to meaningfully work out a solution, the White House is trying to use, you know, bullying tactics to try to kind of pistol whip Democrats to get in line, and it's not working.
And we heard from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, leader of your caucus, talking about potentially the Republicans' unwillingness to negotiate. Do you want to be at the table, and what potentially could bring the GOP back?
Well, absolutely. You know, government works is best when both sides work together. You know, this election was very close. The House is very close. There's only a couple seats that divide both caucuses. You know, I was handily elected by my constituents. And so they want us to represent values and priorities that they have. And so that means that both sides need to work together. And, you know, I was in D.C. this week. Republicans were not there and trying to get something done. But if this is a take it or leave it approach, Democrats have already said we're leaving it, and we'll continue to leave it until Republicans offer a bill. They're in charge. They set the calendar. They initiate the legislation. Until they offer a bill that they know that Democrats can support, we're going to be in this standstill.
And then we heard from some people saying potentially Democrats playing with fire, that if the shutdown goes on, there will be cuts. Russ Vought, the OMB director, talking about that. Maybe not just temporary, but permanent. Are you concerned about that during a government shutdown, the Trump administration will be able to whittle different parts of the government while you're not in session?
Well, there's a laws that protect that, but it's irresponsible and punitive government. They don't have to fire employees. They're choosing to fire employees. They're choosing to weaponize American workers and the federal workforce who make our government function and run, who make our government the best in the world. They're trying to weaponize those and punish those people because they refuse to offer a budget that's palatable to the Congress. And so that's on the administration, that's on the executive branch, that's on the Trump administration. And if they're doing that, if they're going to punish the American people because they're not getting their way, then that's an unfortunate way to govern, and it's irresponsible.
And of course, you represent the 32nd district there in Texas, parts of Dallas. And I know you were kind of in the state legislature when potentially you departed. We talk a lot about the congressional redistricting as Democrats, they fled the state. Does it feel in any way similar to that moment in terms of the state legislature for you, the experience you had in Texas?
What do you mean? The fact that the Republicans are not in D.C., that they're not there to do their job? I think it's interesting that, Republicans certainly made a big old hoo-ha about Texas Democrats leaving the state for their quorum break over maps and all that kind of stuff. But yet they're the same ones that are not in D.C. to try to get this resolved for the American people.
What have you heard from your constituents on the ground? Because we talk about this, the federal shutdown, a lot of people going about their day-to-day business, but obviously it impacts real people. What are you hearing from people, from Americans, from Texans in your district?
Yeah, well, my phone is ringing off the wall of stay and fight for my health care. Texas was a non-Medicaid expansion state. Health care, we lead the nation in people without access to affordable health insurance. And over 100,000 people in my district rely on these ACA tax credits. It's a credit against their taxes, a tax benefit to make their insurance affordable. And what's going to happen, and I want to rebut something, this Republican talking point that is all for illegal aliens is absolutely ridiculous and absurd. The law absolutely expressly prohibits people who are here in an illegal fashion and undocumented to participate in the ACA tax credits. So this debate is about Americans, and this affects small businesses, solo employers, people who don't work for large corporations. And so if you're, let's say in your 50s and you have a household income of $85,000 a year, with the tax credits, your insurance premium is about $7,000. When this goes away, it's going to go up to over $23,000. That is unaffordable. It's unattainable for families, and people have cancer treatments. They have preventive health screenings. They have all kinds of things, cardiac treatments, health issues that are ongoing that they need health insurance for, and they want it. So my constituents are reaching out to me, keep my health insurance. My family needs it.
Yeah, and of course, you're kind of mentioning as open enrollment going on, but the Republicans also saying they just want a continuing resolution, a short one, and they can get back to this. Is there any openness on your part to have a CR and then get back to some of these conversations that are so very important about health care?
Sure. Well, unfortunately, they're unreliable and they're untrustworthy. Like I said, this deadline has been looming to us since March. They've had April, May, June, July, August, September to negotiate, and they have completely failed to do so. They have been willing to, attack Americans' health care and kick it down the can. And the reality of it is, premium notices are going out tomorrow. Health insurance companies have come into us and have said, we have to have this fixed now because all of this stuff goes into effect in January. The time is now. The clock is up. The piper is piping. There is no time to wait. If we're going to keep people in a healthcare system that's intact in this country, we have to fix it now.
And what are you hearing from the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries? We saw him there on the steps just within the last several hours. Has there been a lot of directives from the top? Are the Democrats unified in a way?
I think we're clearly unified. It's because our constituents are demanding that we be unified. Health care is one of the top 3 issues that affect Americans in this country. It's one of the top 3 issues that people are really concerned about. And it's one of the top issues where President Trump is massively declining in the polls, and so is the Republicans in Congress. And they want us to fix it. People need health care, and also we have a very fragile system. When we put millions of people in the uninsured space and unfunded care, that's only going to tax our system and really push our hospital systems and our community health clinics and our medical providers to the brink. And we just cannot have that. We are the wealthiest country in the world. we can have a robust healthcare system where people can be healthy and take care of their families. And that's what people want.
All right, very good. Almost 48 hours since the shutdown began. Representative Julie Johnson there from Texas. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time here on Live Now.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.